Hi everyone, Comic Reviewer here. This time reviewing on the film The Last Unicorn. Now, as you know, The Last Unicorn is a 1982 animated fantasy film that is meant to be based on Peter S. Beagle's 1968 novel The Last Unicorn, as well as it was produced by Rankin Bass Entertainment, that also did other films and specials, and it being animated by Topcraft, who also did The Hobbit and The Return of the King. So you notice there's still influence from their animation from the film. Now, the premise of the film is meant to follow a unicorn who finds out from two hunters, as well from a butterfly, that she's the last of her kind. And this is the point where you can tell she journeys off to find them, as well as to kind of get closure. And of course, after some mishaps from being captured by an evil witch known as Mommy Fortuna and her minion, we also see her meeting Shemvindrick, who is meant to be a competent magician, but plays the role in kind of helping the unicorn out. And of course, they end up meeting Molly, who is part of a kind of Meddly Men-like group. And of course, there's more truths about Molly's past, and from her employment, didn't have a good upbringing. So of course, we kind of see how they journey to find King Haggard's castle to learn more about Unicorn, to find out what happened to the unicorns, as well as escaping from the Red Bull, where we see how Shemvindrick has to use a spell that turns the unicorn into a human, and of course starts to learn about human emotions. And for the most part, I would say the film has a bit of a message about exploring the unknown, finding closure from your past, and finding other potential family members and people who may still be left. And I think the film really does hit that message well. And I would say the point of the unicorn, isn't supposed to be selfish or anything. I think she's just meant to be kind of like what her kind are. They put themselves on high standards. They feel insulted when they're just called a mare. And I do disagree with Steve's reviews on some things. I think that was the point with the unicorn's character. And I kind of feel the point of King Haggard, voiced by Christopher Lee, is that King Haggard is meant to be a dark reflection of the unicorn, as the unicorn is meant to put herself on high standards and doesn't really know any other human emotions, while King Haggard is just meant to be a miserable, shallow old man who wants to find closure, but does it in a more darker way. And I think the point of his adopted son, Prince Lear, is meant to be the opposite of him, as when him and the unicorn get together, you can tell they really do kind of start to bond and find common interests. And I think for the most part, when she does want to be with him, you can kind of tell Prince Lear knows something like that can't happen. And I'm glad they don't force the whole Disney kind of romance thing too much. And I think for the most part, I would say the film really does know how to handle its music. At the start, it really gives you this really soft but gentle beat to it. And most part, when it kind of goes into song in certain scenes, you know it's kind of like an old Merry Men-like story. And I think for the most part, the film isn't too much afraid of being adult, as there are a few adult things in the film, like you have a free-breasted harpy that is owned by Fortuna, and I think the harpy is kind of meant to be a dark reflection as well of the unicorn. Well, the unicorn kind of is meant to be a more majestic creature. The Harpy is meant to be more of a darker, more feral version, and it calling her sister hints a form of respect and a thing of mutual trust. And I think for the most part, I would say The Last Unicorn isn't a perfect film, but it definitely has a bit of a message about learning emotions, understanding 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 that there are more things beyond yourself, as well as understanding the values of human life. So I think this film deserves a thumbs up. Still good and still alright. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.